Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Success Edutech. I am Prashant Jadhav. Today we are discussing our second history chapters question and answer. You are knowing that the second chapters socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. Now we are discussing the first question. What were the social, economic, and political conditions in Russia before 1905? Now we will watch these questions answer. Workers were a divided group. Some had strong links with the villages, others had settled permanently in cities. Workers were divided based on their skills. The division among workers are reflected in their dress and manners too. So firstly we watch social condition and now we will watch economic condition. Most industries were the private property of industrialists. Government supervised large factories. The industries was found in pockets. Many factories were set up in the 1890s when Russia's railway network was extended. Foreign investment in industry increased. Coal production had doubled and iron and steel output quadrupled. Most industries were the private property of industrialists. Now we have watched the economic condition and now we'll watch political condition. Russia was an autocracy. Unlike other European countries, the Tsar was not subject to a parliament. Tsar was not subject to a parliament. Liberals in Russia campaigned to end this state of affairs. Now we will watch Socialists Revolutionary Party struggled for peasants' rights. 1905 was the year when the incident of Bloody Sunday took place. 100 workers were killed and about 300 were wounded. Bloody Sunday started a series of events that became known as the 1905 Revolution. Now we will watch second question. In what ways was the working population in Russia different from other countries in Europe before 1917? Now we will watch this question answer. The vast majority of Russia's population were agriculturists. About 85% of Russian Empire's population earned their living from agriculture. This proportion was higher than in most European countries. In France and Germany, the proportion was between 40% and 50%. Cultivators produced for the market as well as for their own needs, and Russia was the major exporter of grain. Now we have watched the second question's answer, and now we'll watch the third question. Why did the Tsarist autocracy collapse in 1917? Now we will watch this question's answer. After 1905, most trade unions and factory committees were declared illegal. There were restrictions of political activity. The Tsar dismissed the first two Dumas very quickly because he did not want his authority and powers to be questioned. The third Duma was filled with conservative politicians. During the First World War, the Tsar started taking unilateral decisions without consulting the Duma, while Russian soldiers were retreating from the war. Large swathes of agricultural lands were burnt and buildings destroyed by them on the orders of Tsar. Millions of soldiers have also died in the battle. The large majority of the population were peasants, and the land was under the control of a few private people. All these factors, all these factors are most led to the rise of the revolution and the collapse of the Tsar's autocracy. Now we will watch the fourth question. Fourth question: make two lists, one with the main events and the effects of the February Revolution, and the other with the main events and effects of the October Revolution. Write a paragraph on who was involved in which, each, who were the leaders, and what was the impact of each one. Soviet history. Now we will watch this question's answer. Many events of February Revolution we will watch now. First, now we will watch this question answer. The February 1970, there was a shortage of food items in workers' quarters. This is the first point. February Revolution's first point. And now second point we will watch. On February 22, a lockout took place at the factory on the right bank. The workers in 50 factories called a strike, and the women played a very critical role in these strikes. This day went on to be named as International Women's Day. Now we'll watch third point. On February 25, the government suspended the Duma. And now we'll watch fourth point. On February 27, police headquarters were ransacked. People were demonstrating and raising slogans raising slogans about bread wages, better hours, and democracy. Now we'll watch fifth point. Petrograd Soviet was formed, and now we will watch sixth point. Tsar abdicated on March 2. Monarchy was formed in February 1917, and seventh point. Soviet leaders and Duma leaders formed a provisional government to run the country. And now we will watch the effects of the February Revolution. What's the effects? We will watch the February Revolution. The first point: restrictions on public meeting and associating were removed. This is the first effect. And now we will watch second effect. Soviets lacked the Petrograd Soviet were set up everywhere, though no common system of election was followed. And now third point. Now we will watch third point. The number of trade unions increased. And now we will watch fourth point. In industrial areas, factory committees were formed to question the way industrialists ran their factories. Fifth point. Soldiers committees were formed in the army. Sixth point. The Bolsheviks' influence kept growing, and the provisional government saw its power reducing. Now we will watch seventh point. Land committees were formed to handle redistribution of land, which was a popular demand for peasants and their socialist revolutionary leaders in the countryside. Now we will watch main events of the October Revolution. So, as the in conflict between the provisional government and the Bolsheviks grew, Lenin feared the provisional government would set up the dictatorship. Lenin began discussions for an uprising against the government. Bolshevik supports in the army, Soviets and factories were brought together. On 16th October 1917, Lenin persuaded and the Petrograd Soviet and the Bolshevik Party to agree to socialist seizure of power. A military revolutionary committee was appointed by the Soviet under Leon Trotsky to organize the seizure. To uprising began on 24th October 1917. Military men who were loyal to the government seized the buildings of two Bolshevik newspapers. Pro-government troops were sent to take over telephone and telegraph of offices and protect the Winter Palace. In re- retaliation, the military revolutionary community ordered its supporters to seize government offices and arrest ministers. A ship and named Aurora bombed the Winter Palace. Other ships sailed down to the Neva and took over various military positions. By the end of the month, the city was under the control of committee and the ministers had resigned. By the December, Bolsheviks controlled the Moscow Petrograd area. And now we will watch the effects of the October revolutions. First point, industries and banks were nationalized by November 1917. Government took over owner and management ownership and management. And second point, the land was declared a social property and peasants were allowed to seize the land of nobility. Third point, in the cities the Bolsheviks enforced the partitions of large houses according to the family requirement. Fourth point, all titles of the aristocracy were banned. Fifth point, now uniforms were designed for the army and officials. Sixth point, Bolsheviks party was renamed as the Russian Communist Party. Seventh point, Bolsheviks conducted elections to the Constituent Assembly. However, they failed to attain the majority. The assembly rejected the Bolshevik measures and Lenin dismissed the assembly. 8 point, Old Russian Congress of Soviets became the parliament of the country. Russia became a one party state. 9 point, trade unions were kept under party control. The secret police punished anyone who criticized the Bolsheviks. Many young artists and writers continued to support the party as it stood for socialism. And 10 point, many experiments were done in arts and architecture, but many were unhappy because of the censorship. Now the fourth question is completed. We will watch the fifth question. What were the main changes brought about the Bolsheviks? What was the main changes of Bolsheviks immediately after the October Revolution? Now we'll watch this question answer. Industries and banks were nationalized by November 1970. Government took over ownership and management. Second point, the land was declared as a social property and peasants were allowed to seize the land of the nobility. Third point, in the cities and Bolsheviks enforced the partition of large houses according to family requirements. Fourth point, all titles of the aristocracy were banned. Fifth point, new uniforms were designed for the army and officials. Sixth point, Bolshevik party was renamed as the Russian Communist Party. Seventh point, Bolsheviks conducted elections to the Constituent Assembly. However, they failed to attain the majority. Assembly rejected the Bolshevik measures and Lenin dismissed the assembly. 8 point, in the Russian Congress of Soviets become parliament of the country. Russia became a one-party state. 9 point, trade unions were kept under party control. The secret police punished anyone who criticized the Bolsheviks. Many young artists and writers continued to support the party as it stood for socialism. 10 point. Many experiments were done in arts and architecture, but many artists were unhappy because of the censorship. Now, the fifth question's answer is completed. We will watch the sixth question. Write a few lines to show what you know about what you know about kulaks. The first point. We will watch. Wealthy peasants who stand believed were hoarding the grains to gain more profit. Second point, when the towns faced the actual shortage of grains, kulaks were thought to be responsible behind it. Third point, Stalin thought it was necessary to eliminate them so that farms could be modernized. And now we'll watch the second, the Duma. In 1905, Tsar allowed the creation of an elected consultative parliament of Duma. The Tsar dismissed the first Duma within 75 days and re-elected the second Duma within 3 months. The Tsar did not want anyone to question his authority or undermine and reduce his power. The Tsar changed the voting laws and packed the third Duma with conservative politicians, liberals, and revolutionaries were kept out. Revolutionaries kept out. So the third uh, woman workers between 19th and 1930. The way first point, the wages were less than the wages of men. Second point, they formed 31% of factory workforce. And now we will watch the liberals. They consider all religions as equal. First point. And now we will watch second point. They believed only men who have property had the right to vote. Third point, they wanted an elected form of the parliamentary governance. So these are the 3 points. And now we will watch Stalin's collectivization collectivization program. And now we will watch this question answer. He began first point. He began this program in 1929. Second, he believed this program would help in improving grain supplies. Third point, all peasants were forced to cultivate in collective farms called kolas. And the fourth point, on the contrary, this worsened the food supply situation. Now we have completed all questions and answer. And I am Prashant Jadhav. I am ending my lecture. Namaskar.